Welcome, IHSEA Smash players and coaches. Today, we have a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, Dalton McGee, head coach of Springfield Capitals, and also the tournament director for Smash in the IHSEA.
Yes, so Dalton has been our TO for the last month here, organizing what just so happens to be the largest high school Smash tournament explicitly for high school students in the country. Dalton, tell us how that sort of happened.
Well, last year Smash had been released, and we talked about whether it was logistically feasible to do it, and we decided it wasn't. That was for last school year, just because we all know that Switch Online is fantastic and has no problems whatsoever. And so it was really more reasonable to have two in-person tournaments. Oswego East hosted their Invitational. The Capitals Classic happened in Springfield, and that was what Smash was for IHSA last year. But this year, when the staff got together and had a conversation, we just talked about the huge community we have of Smash players in Illinois, not to mention highly skilled community of Smash players we have in Illinois. And we just wanted to do something more. And we wanted to have a real season with playoffs and a real state title and not just two tournaments that are a lot of fun to go to. So that's sort of what bore this process. And it was big. It was probably a lot bigger than we expected it to be.
Going off that, when you and the director sat down and you sort of took the temperature of the coaches and local teams, how big did the outpouring of support and player participation vary from what you guys predicted?
It was definitely more. I mean, I also run Fortnite in the spring, and Fortnite last year was coming down from its peak of popularity, but still very popular. And we had 100 people, had custom scrims. I felt like a lot of people to keep track of, and I thought that Fortnite was more popular than Smash. So if that's any indication, when we had 218 Smash players sign up, it was a lot, and that's to the point that it made more sense to have three conferences instead of two, and have sub like divisions in each one. There's so many people, and it was dramatically more than I expected, but that's a good thing, and it's certainly a good problem to have.
Okay, so before we get to the big announcement that I know you're excited to tell everyone, I heard about it a little bit earlier, just about a couple minutes ago, and I'm super pumped for my students, and I'm sure other people will be too. But let's go ahead and recap so far what we've learned and what's happened the last 4 weeks of Smash at IHSEA.
Yeah, I think that there have been ups and downs. We've learned a lot our first time going through this process. There were a lot more forfeits than I expected, whether it be people not getting verified in the Discord on time, or not showing up to their matches, not following the rules, or just straight up didn't play when they signed up to play. And that was something that was a little discouraging. I think you never want to see a forfeit or a match just not get played, but that was happening more than I would liked it to have. And then of course we had have our issues with score reporting and finding a uniform way to do that, which has got better each week. But it's a matter of reading the rules, checking Discord, and following to a T what we are asking to make this as clear as possible for the huge number of people we've had. But it's not been all bad. I mean, we've had some really good matches, a lot of fun for those that have been on top of things, and making sure they're in their arenas on time. I know this week we saw a matchup coming in between Sauce Queen and Cam that I was excited for. Both were not beaten yet and went into that, and it ended up 2-1. And I wish I could have watched that match because I'm sure it was excellent. And there have been, very few students that haven't won a match. There are very, very few with 0 wins. And so it's been competitive, and there are equally few with undefeated records. So it's been pretty fun to watch this shakedown, see some upsets, see some, non-Chicago area schools, no offense, you guys, starting to do really well in this. I know you and I both, of course, love to see our Southern schools doing well. And it's been a huge, huge amount of fun, but it has had its challenges. And so we wanted to reevaluate what was going on, and rectify those concerns, and make this an experience as good as possible for everybody. Because I say this figure of speech all the time, but we wanted to make sure that we didn't let what was perfect get in the way of what was good. And so the change that we're about to talk about was what was good. And I think you guys are going to be really excited to see this direction change.
Okay, so then let's move on to why everyone has been watching to this point, and that is what will the second half, potentially the next 4 weeks and into the playoffs of Smash look like this season?
So everything that's happened up to this point we couldn't just change the season or say that doesn't matter. That can't be what we do. You guys have put a lot of work into this, a lot of like time into practicing and playing, and so we are still going to use the seeding and the standings from these first 4 weeks into a change, which is going to be pools into a playoff bracket. So what's going to happen is we're going to take each of the three conferences, Lake, North, and South, and we're going to use the standings from those conferences to seed into pools. So the Lake and North Conference will have 6 pools of 13 people each, just based on how many they have. And then the South Conference will have 5 pools of 13. And the way that will shake down is you'll be able to play each of the other people 12 more matches, which is exactly how many we had scheduled, leading up to the end of the season, and get a round robin record. Of those pools of 13, the top 2 from each will advance to playoffs. Now, that may not seem like a lot, 2 out of 13. However, remember that the way things were set up before, only 24 were moving on to the playoffs. And in this situation, 34 players will be moving on to the playoffs. So it actually is more people getting to move on. And there is one less group from the South. It isn't that big of a deal. It is what it is. But those top 34 will then move on into a double elimination playoff bracket that will determine who our state champions are. And I think that is definitely more reminiscent of what the Smash community is used to as far as tournaments go. I think that's something people were wanting and we were hearing, and we wanted to listen to that. But it also rewards the work we've done up to this point, so that those top players are not going to all be grouped up in a pool and face a steeper climb to the playoffs. So that's where we're moving, and I think that's going to be really exciting. And in addition to that, these Google Sheets, thing of the past. We're going to move this to Challenge. You guys have seen this in Overwatch and in the past, and Rocket League this year, or in the past, I guess, because they also use League Spot. But we use Challenge a lot in IHSEA, so that's going to be a familiar medium to communicate matches and to show scores and to show records. And that way, there's a lot less work on IHSEA staff. We're just going to have to input scores on Challenge, and it will calculate standings for us, and we'll figure out who our playoff players are going to be moving forward.
So at the end of this week, week 4, we'll take all the standings, and if you're in South, you're going to take both standings, mix them together, correct? And then from
Yes,
there, you start at the top. Number 1 goes into Pool 1, number 2 goes into Pool 2, number 3 goes into Pool 3, and you're going to continually to do that. So for all the
snake them.
players out there who have worked hard this first 4 weeks, and for those at the top, this is actually pretty good for you guys. This will spread out the talent, and it'll make it the pool's very competitive. And it'll, like I think you said, Dalton, it's going to really maximize the amount of kids that can get into the playoffs in terms of just raw numbers. So pretty exciting for everyone.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that's the point, is that we were seeing in some standings, there were some situations where, I mean, right now there could have been an 8-1 or 7-2 player and not make the playoffs, and that's kind of rough to be doing that well. And that's why we made that change. So we will snake everybody in. Some of the pools will have a bye in them just because of how numbers work out. We don't have a perfect divisible by 13 number in the IHSEA, but there forfeits, you can expect to see less of them. We're removing the players that have been forfeiting all their matches, per what we've been saying, and we're going to see a lot more competition in these pools than what we've seen up to this point, I think.
Time-wise, when can players expect to see what pool they're going to be in and their input into Shalom?
So what I will say is, we're recording this right now on a Tuesday, Tuesday the 8th. This is the last day for players to submit their corrections to scores. After that, I usually have the standings put in on Wednesday, and from that point on, I'm going to publish it. Thankfully, for those waiting anxiously to find that kind of stuff out, in District 186 here in Springfield, this is our last week of school. I have no new assignments for my students. It's just tests and grading, so I have some more time. So I will be able to sit back and take the time to get that done. And my plan is to have that published to you guys before break, so you can spend all of the holiday break practicing, having a good time, getting ready, getting to know your pool a little bit if you want to, reaching out to them, and then be ready to go starting January 4th on that Monday again.
Awesome. Coach, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't know. I'm excited. I want to say that I appreciate the patience of everybody. This has been a gigantic undertaking, something that we had no idea how big it was going to be. There are a lot of moving parts. We're working as hard as we can, and know that we always want to bring you guys the best experience possible for every game we play. Smash is new this year. We're learning a lot, and we're going to make sure that the lessons we learn this year not only improve this year, but improve future years. I appreciate your guys' patience and working with me. It's been fun. Thank you to Coach Whitlock for inputting all the Lake area scores, to URAC for all the North area scores and the crazy stat tracking of score inputting that I love seeing. I guess, last thing I always say, in the words of TiVo, do your homework, guys.
Awesome, you hear that. Well, this is Coach Rakauskas, Coach R, and to all the IHSA Smash players out there, keep your heads up and smash on.